Hey guys, it's Erin! Happily we go, here with another Strumpet Stencils design team project, and today we're going to use these personal demons. This is a 12x12 stencil, and we're going to use this little middle guy. Isn't he so cute? So I'm going to grab this paper pad that I picked up at Tuesday morning, and it just has a lot of fun little papers. And so I'm going to choose one, and then we're going to trace out our little guy, just most of his legs, and then we will go ahead and cut him out as well. Then we're going to whip out this old journal I have. It's a Stillman and Birn's Zeta 8x8 watercolor journal. And so here's our guy. And if you notice, yes, he is a different color. I decided to go with a different color scheme. So we're going to put him down, and then we're going to trace this little bottom part. I only did 2 of his legs because we're going to make this a hat. It's going to be fun. Now, we're going to sketch out a little face here. I'm going to speed it up for you because nobody wants to just wait around while I'm trying to draw out a whimsy little girl. So we'll make some lips, and then start a little nose, a couple eyes. She looks more like an alien, but bear with me because she's going to be super cute by the end. Then I'm going to whip out some of my cheapy craft paints from DecoArt. They're just skin tone, a white, and then one of those unmarked ones is actually a Jane Davenport. It's a little bit darker skin tone. I'm not gessoing my paper here, and that will come into play a little bit later on. But what I'm doing is I've used the darker skin tone on one side of the face, and then I just take water and blended it out, and now I'm using the lighter skin tone over top of that. And don't forget the neck. And then I'm going over top of the highlighted area with the lighter skin tone. Now I'm going in with the Neocolor. I believe this is the gray. And I'm just kind of adding where I think I want her shadows to be. And I'm using a little bit of water and then just blending with some of the paint, just to kind of blend it all out. Then I'm going to dry it. So that way the layers that go on top of this, those bottom layers won't move. I'm taking a little bit more of a bluish color and just deepening those shadows, giving them just a little bit of a hint of color. And blending it with just some plain water on my brush. And then I'm going to go back over everything with a light wash of the lighter skin tone color. And this just helps blend everything together. Then go ahead and dry it again. So once it's all dry, I'm going to whip out some of these Faber Castell Aquarelle, what are they, watercolor pencils. And I'm just going to start defining some of the areas. I use the watercolor pencils so they blend. You could use regular colored pencils if you wanted to. I'm taking 2 different colors of green to give her the green eyes, and then I have just a plain pencil to go over those lines a little bit more. I like softer looks on the eyes. I will go back at the very end with a Pitt pen and darken those up, but I like the softer features. You don't want to just go instantly with the black pen because it may get too striking, if that makes sense. So now we're just going to add a little lip color, and another trick is if you wet your watercolor pencil, it will smooth on a lot easier. So they're kind of defining where I want her hairline to be. And I end up moving the hat later on, but we'll just give her, get an estimate of where we want it, and then we're just going to deepen up the hair. Then I'm just going to take some water on a paintbrush and go over top of that to blend it out. And I will tell you that next I decided to do the background, and my camera totally shut off, so you missed it, but I'll tell you real quick. I just used Distress Stain in iced spruce and a little bit of black Dylusions and blended it with some water over top of the background. We'll zoom out here and boom, there you go. There's the background. Now I wanted to add a couple of stencils, and I just got some new background stencils from Strumpet Stencils. Sarah's awesome. And look at these. These are 6x6. Aren't those amazing? I love every single one of them. They're going to be fabulous. But we're going to use the plus signs one first. And I'm just going to take some old ink on an ink pad and a really old foam. Look at the foam is coming off of it because I don't want this dark. Like, I just want a hint of it in the background, and you'll see how this comes into play. But I'm just going to do a couple here and there. I don't want real, you know, definitive pluses. See? Just perfect. I know it looks weird and she's bald still, but hang with me. We're getting there. So I think next, no, we need to dull the background a little bit. It's just a little too dark. So I'm going to take just some of that plain white craft paper or craft paint that we were using and use my brayer, and I'm going to brayer this on, and it's going to give it a neat look. So let's just go around here. I'm kind of covering up my little girl, her face, so we don't end up accidentally rolling over her face, because that is totally something that would end up happening. Do a little along the sides. All right, that's going to give it a cool effect. Now we're going to go ahead and get the placement kind of figured out where I want it. And then we're going to use some UHU glue stick, and we are going to glue the back of that and slap it on down onto our little girl. Now her head will be nice and warm. So I don't know if it's been bugging you, but I was like, wait a second, she has no pupil, and it's kind of freaking me out. So I'm just grabbing a Faber Castell Pitt pen, which wasn't working right. So now I'm going to take a Stabilo and just go ahead and darken up her pupils. And then I was like, well, wait, while I have this out, I think we're going to define the edges a little bit. We'll just kind of put it around her face where her hair comes together. Just a little dab on the chin just to give a wee shadow. And then I'm darkening up the brown with the watercolor pencil again to give her hair just a little bit darker, a darker feel, a little bit on the outside. And then I'm going to grab my smudger, and this is where I'm going to add a little, deepen up those shadows. Just take the smudger, there's nothing on it, it's just an old used one, and I'm just going to smudge around where I have her little shadows. Add a little bit of dimension. And then her lips were way too pink, so I grabbed too magenta. I grabbed a lighter pink and went over those. And then I'm going to darken up our little monster's face here with a Pitt pen. This is like the marker one. And just go over where his teeth are and his eyes. So one of the ways I like to define certain, like a space or certain features, is taking the Stabilo All and just outlining the outside of whatever I want to darken. And then I just take a water brush, and I'll show you in a second here. So we're just going to go around our little guy and then take a water brush, and it has a lot of water on it, and just pull away. Just drag by once and then just pull it out, and it sort of just blends it out, and it gives it this kind of cool, I don't know, I just like to watch the way it looks. I think it's really neat. But it gives it a cool effect, and then it also casts like this shadow, kind of raises up whatever you're trying to define. See, isn't that neat? And then I'm going to go back over it because I don't like harsh lines, and just kind of pull away, and this is going to drag out some of the color to deepen that shadow around there. And I'm going to pull it down a little bit, and then I wanted to darken his mouth some because the ink just kind of seeps into the paper. So by adding the Stabilo onto it, it's going to deepen up that that darkness there. And then I still have some of it on my brush, so I'm just going to kind of paint over the eyes a little bit. And then I decided to pull it all the way down her hair. And then we'll just do the same technique, pulling it down on the outsides. Then I'm going to bring back the smudger and I'm going to go over top of her eyes. I'm going to add a little bit of an eyelid, no definitive shapes, and then go in the inside of her eyes, smudge it out a little bit, because you know there's always a shadow underneath the first lid of your eye, the top lid of your eye rather. And then I'm going to take a white Gelli Roll pen and just add the highlights in her eyes and add some highlights around her face. So when you're doing this, think about where the light would hit the face and the areas on the face that are raised the highest, like your lips, on the side of your nose, and just add your highlights to those areas. Then go back in and define the whites of the eyes just to brighten them up. I always love a bright eye. And then I'm adding just a little bit of whiteness in the tear ducts to brighten it up. Now I'm going to go back over that with just a graphite pencil just to darken, kind of give a little bit more shadowing. Darken up the inside of the nostrils, which again I'll go back over with a Pitt pen, but just add a little bit more dimension to it. And then I'm going to pull the sides of her lip out. A little hint is to bring the lips out to where your pupils are. So I'm just bringing them out a little bit and then adding a little bit of shadowing. Now I'm going to darken up her eyebrows some. And then I'm going to darken up her hair, just adding the water. And this is also going to blend that black Stabilo all that we put around her face again to soften it, but also add shadowing in her hair. And then it wouldn't be an Erin piece if I didn't grunge it up a little bit. So I'm grabbing my Lyra. This is a water-soluble graphite stick, and I'm just drawing around the outsides. And this is the 9B, so I think it's one of the darker ones. And I'm just smudging it around, pulling it out a little bit, because again, I don't like those harsh lines. And then I decided, let's just go crazy. Just grab a bigger brush, dab it all around, and then dry it up a little bit with a paper towel. And now this is where that lack of gesso in the very beginning comes into play, because where the white acrylic paint is, it takes the graphite differently than the places that don't have anything. So see, it makes it darker where there's no paint or gesso or anything. That's why we didn't gesso. So we're just going to go all the way around, and I'm just kind of dabbing up these little spots. I don't like the spiral notebooks because you can't get into those areas, but I like them to be colored too. So I'm just being super messy. I'm not being careful at all. And then just dab it up a little bit. We just want to have a hint of darker color around the outside edge. And then dry it up. Now I'm thinking it's sentiment time. I was going to stamp, but then I thought, you know what, one of the things I'm trying to do more is use my own handwriting in my art. So I'm just going to hand draw the sentiment out. And then I'm just going to go back over it and darken it up a little bit. And once that's done, I decided to take an orange that kind of matched the orange in the hat and just color in the holes of the letters. And still not feeling complete, I took the white gel pen and decided to trace around all of the letters just to give that title a little something extra. Then I'm going to whip out my favorite new pastels from Diane Townsend. They are the Fluorescents. Oh, they're so pretty. And I'm going to grab this pink because it kind of matches the pink in her hat. And I'm just going to ever so carefully draw a little line on the outside and smudge it with my finger. This is going to pull the pink from her hat and her lips and those plus signs in the background and kind of bring it all together. We're in the finale now, people. We're almost to the end. We can't forget about those dang spiral holes. So finish it up around the edges. And then I want to add just a little bit of interest to his eyes. So I'm going to go around with a white gel pen, and that just wasn't working. So I grabbed the Posca, the white, and just brightened it up that way. And then I went around his mouth and I added a little pupil there to give him some character because now he's all funky. And then, of course, the camera shut off again. Oh, technology. When you love it when it works and you hate it when it doesn't. And this is going to finish up our project today, you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this project. Be sure to check out Strumpet Stencils where you can get some awesome, awesome stencils. Don't forget to use my code strumpeterin for 15% off of your purchase. Have an awesome day, guys. Until next time.